Well, we've had a look at Fremantle in their return for day one of pre-season training. We've made a couple of observations, and it'll be interesting to see whether we'll see a new look Fremantle next season. Well, welcome to the West Sport Show, and it is late November, but we are still talking footy because we love talking about footy. And joining me is Craig O'Donoghue. How are you, Cod?
We love talking footy because footy is all that matters to most people's lives.
Footy and a bit of cricket.
As much as cricket is awesome, and I love my cricket, and you love your cricket as well, nothing invokes passion and arguments like footy. Whereas in cricket, we all agree with each other. We all hate the Poms. They suck.
Jeez, I tell you what, there's been a bit of argument this week over baseball and what have you. But look,
yeah,
let's talk.
It was awesome. It was fantastic. But
except when you're due to go on the Sunday, which is me, and I was sitting at home thinking, what am I going to do with myself today? So I did some gardening, Cod.
And then you talked footy with someone.
And then I talked footy with someone. But let's talk footy. So you were at Fremantle for their day one of training. So the first to 4 year players, and have a lot of experienced players there as well. And a streamlined Reid.
Fremantle are one of the most fascinating teams in the comp this year for what they're going to become and what they could be, who will play where, what style of footy they're going to play. And Reid was an example yesterday where you looked at him and went, oh, he looks different.
So it looks so he's been in the gym.
It looks like he's been running a hell of a lot.
His shape has changed.
Yeah, shape changed a lot. So he needed to get fitter to play in the midfield. He's openly said that himself. He's never been a great endurance athlete. Just looked really lean, looked really tanned. The pictures of him from last year, when you compare them to this year, you can just see the change in body shape. And you go, okay, he's desperate to get into that midfield. And he knows that he has to run better to do so. Frightening
for opposition teams if he can use his guile and skill in that midfield.
One of the things that stood out, they did a drill, which was, we've only been probably 10 players per team. And they're going across the ground, and there was a little stoppage, then you had to get the ball to the outside. Reid was able to get the ball in the stoppage, and then his hands to be able to find someone on the outside, whether he was flicking it over his head or going through someone else's legs or around the back sort of people where you didn't expect the ball to go to, and you just opened up the drill totally. And that's what we saw with him all last season. He was clever. He saw the game differently. And if he can be fit enough to go through the midfield and change that side of their game, as well as going forward and doing what he did last season, he's going to be really damaging.
I don't think it'll be permanent, but he'll spend longer stints in the midfield as he builds his tank to eventually, I would think, a permanent role there. But
yeah, and the thing that was really important with that was you always go, how will the kid who's had a gun first season and been rewarded by everyone and been talked up, how will he return? Will he have...
It's tough.
Yeah.
Second year is tough.
Absolutely. And you can come back in ripping Nick and having gone, you know what, I want to take my game to the next level. Or you can say, geez, it was a hard year and I need a bit of a break. He's come back in phenomenal, Nick. And that's great for Fremantle fans. They should be really excited by what he looked like.
Now, we can't get too carried away. It's day one.
Yes.
But was there any indication... something like ball movement, for example, because we know it's got quicker and quicker and quicker these days. Any indication at all about maybe a different philosophy?
Once again, one drill. It was just one drill, but it leapt off the page at me straight away. We're accustomed to seeing Fremantle get the ball to half back and kick long. Or if they're in the corridor and they get a chance to play on quickly because of a quick turnover, then that's different. They'll play on with handball and attack from there. But the majority of the time, they've been quite slower across half back and methodical. This was different. They were getting the ball and then instantly handballing over the top. So they're going that way, right? They're going straight down the ground, and it's hand pass over the top to the person who's in space, so the forward handball instantly. None of this go back and have a look around. It was just instant forward handball to a player in the little bubble spot in front and then take off and kick it long. And I thought that's not the Fremantle we've seen in the past. That's a different drill to what we've always seen from them, where it's a bit more careful. If they can get that working for them over the course of this preseason, then that will be a really damaging thing when you can think of what Jordan Clark can do, what potentially Brandon Walker could do, what Judd McVie will do.
Judd McVie's
that sort of move will really change the way they play.
Now, what did we see so far from Adam Sweid, for example? I believe there was a new nickname for him already.
Love this. They're a good nickname team.
They are a good nickname team.
Last year, Reid. Well, do you remember what he was called?
Oh, yeah, because they were Bruce.
Reid. Great. Charlie Nichols was called Gray. Gray Nichols is a very cricket theme from Andrew Brayshaw, who was responsible for those. Well, it's Slim Sweidi.
Yeah, it's
I'm Slim Sweaty. Yes, I'm the Slim Sweaty. You're the other Slim Sweaty.
Jeez, we're going back a bit
singer,
there, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm a good singer.
We're going
I
back
did think that Tobin Murray, he said his nickname was Muzz.
Yes.
I don't think that'll last too long. My first thought was surely he's going to turn into Buzz from Muzz Buzz. So,
I know what Toby 1 will be. Kenobi.
Hey, they're calling him Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan
yeah,
Kenobi.
Obi, yeah. Well, something around that genre.
That's great. That's fantastic. I love it. And Leon Kickett would just be Kickety, you would think.
Yeah, out of those recruits, I mean, it's a hard team to break into now, but any of them jump out at you like, look, this kid could play AFL next year.
I would imagine there's only one out of them who realistically should be in a position to play based on where Fremantle are at. We know that it's hard to break into a team like that. So their first pick is Sweid, and he's a small forward. Yeah. And when you think of guys like Nick Watson at Hawthorn or Murphy Reid last year or Isaac Kako at Essendon, like the half forward / small forward role is the one where you can come in as a first year player and probably have the impact. So when you're a small forward who can crumb and they'll be looking for someone to replace Michael Walters, and if Murphy Reid goes into the midfield a bit more, then potentially he's competing.
You've got also a Dudley as well.
Yeah, he's competing with a Dudley, he's competing with a Sam Switkowski, these sorts of guys. If you're going to play 3 tall forwards, you need crummers and you need electricity, and that's the type of player that he will be. So he could potentially be one who would push in. Tobin Murray is a half forward who plays a bit more run up and back, the traditional half forward sort of style. So
from the Geelong
VFL
region?
system, from the Geelong VFL system,
Which
and
is
from
very,
Colac.
very, very rich, fertile system.
So we've seen Tom Stewart come from the Geelong VFL system. We've seen Tom Atkins come from the Geelong VFL system as well. So has understood what that's all about. It'll be harder for him, I reckon, when you look at the depth of Fremantle's forward line to be able to break in when you've got Michael Frederick sitting there, you've got Bailey Banford who can go in both places. Neil Erasmus was half forward at different points. So it's not an easy position to get into that team. So I reckon Sweid's the one where maybe we might see him. But realistically, and when you look at Fremantle over recent years, Reid's the only one who's really been able to break in early because they are becoming that stronger team now.
Now, here's someone who may be able to break into the team. Now, I'm going to paint a picture for you. Early days, kicks 3 goals in a quarter, and the chant rings out across Optus Stadium. USA, USA. I love this pickup.
Yeah.
Mason Cox. I might have, maybe our producer Josh might be able to look back, but I might have even urged them to do this at some stage after he was delisted by Collingwood. But I just love it. I think it's really good backup. Well, not just backup. He can add a string to their bow, but I think they needed a player of his size and ability in that team. So experience.
When you look at Fremantle's other ruckman over recent years, it's Rory Lobb, who then left and went to the Western Bulldogs, Lloyd Meek, who then left and went to Hawthorn. It's Liam Reedy, who then left and went to Carlton, and they had Max Noble, who also left for more opportunities. Mason Cox ain't going anywhere else for more opportunities. They're bringing him over from another club knowing he can play, and he's a better player as a ruckman than those guys were when they departed. So if something happens to Sean Darcy or if something happens to Luke Jackson, they both got hurt at different points last year, they've got a guaranteed player who can come in and play straight away.
And can impact, as we've seen in the forward line. And I think the new ruck rules will benefit him.
That's the massive part. So 211 centimetres. So Sean Darcy's 203. Luke Jackson's 199. And when you look at other ruckmen around the league, Cox is the tallest. So Jared Witts is 209, and so is Max Gawn. Tim English is 208. And then you go down to the other genuine ruckmen who are major players throughout the comp. You've got Darcy Cameron and Sam DeConning at 204. Tom DeConning at 204. So when you look at the fact that the ball's going to be thrown up in the middle now, if you go back to the Gold Coast game last year when they were rucking, and it was Jackson and Darcy, once again at 203 and 199 against Jared Witts at 209 in the rain. So no bounce at all. It was too wet. The ball had to be thrown out, so it's predictable. And they lost the centre bounce hit-outs 14-8 that day. The height won out. Cox can win out with the height here if the ball's just thrown directly up. So that's really important. Jackson, under the new rules of not being able to engage with the other ruckman until the ball crosses over the line, can now leap over the top. So they now have the tallest guy in the league who can just stand there and go, I'll take that, thanks. Jackson, who can jump without being impeded, and Darcy, who can wrestle around the ground.
Which is what you're going to need. So people forget this. They just look at the centre bounce, where in fact centre bounces are few and far between, really. But your stoppages around the ground is going to involve a bit of wrestling, and that's where Sean Darcy can come into it.
Yeah, so I love the fact that what Jackson can do as a leaping ruckman, and that he could do every centre bounce for them. Darcy can then do every around the ground bounce. If Jackson's hurt, suddenly you can say, well, Cox, you do every centre bounce first, and Darcy can do the around the ground. You could say if any of the key forwards in Amiss or Voss or Tracy get hurt, Jackson could go forward or Cox could go forward, and the other one can come into the team, and you can have two ruckmen still. So they've got all these tools that they can work with now and mix and match. I don't think they're ever going to be able to be a team with 3 genuine ruckmen out there, even though they think Luke Jackson can play as a midfielder at times. But they've got some versatility now with this ruck department. And with 23 players now in the team, every team is likely to go in with a second ruckman who is a genuine ruck as opposed to the pinch hitter. They now have got 3 who they can say will always have 2 who are good.
You mentioned him earlier, Jye Amiss. How did he look yesterday?
He looked slim.
Okay.
So
I don't think he looked like he needed to lose too much. And as a key forward, you don't want to lose too much, do you?
So he's put on nearly 10 kilos in the past couple of years.
Yeah,
they bulked him up because he was the contested marking player back in 2023. He was there. We're going to kick the ball to you. You're our get-out clause. You need to bulk up and be this strong dude. Then all of a sudden along came Josh Tracy. And then along came Pat Voss. And they were doing the bullocking work. And Amiss was doing all the running. And he looked sore a lot last year. And I reckon he's carrying extra kilos last year and trying to do the running. I think they've lightened him up so that he can be the whippet, up and back, and then he can take the marks and then kick it inside to the other 2 who can do the contested work. I think that'll be really interesting to see because, as I mentioned at the start, they're really fascinating in what Fremantle can become. Have Tracy and Voss given them the opportunity to change the way they played that forward line with Amiss doing something different. We saw him on the wing at different points last year. He can really run, and he gets so high up the ground that if he is able to do even more running by lightening off a bit, he could be really damaging in that way. And that might help him to get more possessions because he had a lot of times where he didn't touch the ball for a long time.
Yeah.
And that might get him into games where he can kick more goals.
Still played his role, I guess, even though you don't always have to touch the ball too often as a key forward.
No.
Can still play your role, but I do get your point. So we did mention 1st to 4-year players. You generally get some experienced players returning, and there was a whole host of them yesterday.
Pretty much everyone was there. So you talk about Caleb Sarong, Andrew Brayshaw, Alex Pearce, Brennan Cox, Luke Ryan, Luke Jackson. You just kept on going. So Jordan Clark was there. Like nearly everybody who was a senior player was there. There was no Judd McVie at this point. There was no Shea Bolton that we saw. Andrew Brayshaw wasn't training with the team he was inside, but then came out and ran later on. So, and there was a hell of a lot of guys who weren't expected to be there but turned up. And it looked like they'd been there based on the photos that Fremantle have been putting up on their social media recently. They've been training there for a while anyway. It's a long time since the end of the season, let's face it. So you don't get a lot of a chance to train together until Christmas. I love the fact they're all there already.
Luke Ryan training. I mean, he's had some post-season shoulder surgery.
Was just running.
Yeah.
Looked light as well.
Okay.
Like Luke Ryan normally looks like he's just rolled in off the street.
Mate, and it's not a criticism. We say this all the time. He looks like they've dragged him in from next door from the car park and said, mate, get off your skateboard. You want to come and play footy? It does.
Yeah.
And then he just goes out there and dominates.
Yeah. So he looked a lot lighter. Now that's primarily what they said is he hasn't been able to do any sort of weights work because of his shoulder.
Yeah.
So he's going to naturally lose some of that definition up there. He was doing a lot of running. He wasn't impressed by the fact he was doing a lot of running because no one enjoys it. But he was running really hard. Like he's a lot quicker than you sort of think when you're seeing him going doing 400s or 200s and stuff. So yeah, he was moving quite well. It'll just be a matter of how that shoulder recovers from what was a pretty brutal year. When you look back to last year, what his body endured, he got smashed a lot.
He did. Some people do enjoy running. I enjoy running, but however, I pinged my calf again a week and a bit ago, and it's a bad one.
There's a difference between running for the sake of it, enjoying running, and doing pre-season training running. There is no such thing as enjoying pre-season training running. It is quite brutal. One thing that I think is really interesting with the Dockers as well is you look at their second pick in Tobin Murray. We talked about him earlier, and they love going to the draft and picking up mature age players. And they always seem to find one who will work for them. So when you go through their list,
they found one last year, didn't they?
Isaiah Dudley, Pat Voss, Liam Reid, Corey Wagner, Tom Emmett in recent years, who have all played after getting picked up as mature age players. Then you go back earlier to 2018, it was Lockie Schultz and Brett Bewley. Then in 2017, it was Sam Switkowski and Scott Jones, and then Luke Ryan, who we just mentioned there back in 2016. So when they go to the VFL or the Sandful or the Waffle, they normally nail that pick. And I think it's really good with the way that the comp's going now with Tassie coming in and more players being needed, there is no doubt they look at it and say, where can we find someone who can come in and have an instant impact because they've proven they can play against men.
So the one thing you've just mentioned with Tassie coming in, it's going to be really good for those mature age players who would have often been overlooked in the past, but they'll now find themselves on lists.
Yeah, and there'll be plenty of kids at the moment who would be absolutely gutted that they missed out on being drafted. But you can see these sorts of stories where you go, oh, hang on, go back and play in the waffle. Don't just go and play country footy and chase money or suburban footy and chase fun. Stick with the waffle for at least 3 to 4 years because that's your opportunity's still there. Like, they're still looking at you. And you can't get drafted from WA unless you're in the waffle. You can in Victoria, you can go and play suburban footy and get picked. You can't from here. So it's so important to not drop your head, stay involved in the waffle system and prove people wrong and put on the weight you need to put on or get fitter if you need to or kick more goals if you need to or get cleaner with your possessions. The story is never over until it's over.
This AFLW update is brought to you by Woodside Energy, a proud major partner of the Fremantle Dockers, supporting local footy from grassroots to greatness. Cod, before we get on to the AFLW Grand Final this weekend, let's just congratulate some West Australians from Fremantle, Mim Strom and Gabby Newton. Mim Strom, that's back-to-back All-Australian honours for her. And Ella Roberts, no surprises there that she was able to be All-Australian. Ella Roberts from the West Coast Eagles.
Really
Ella
good
also
effort,
finishing third in the Best and Fairest. Now, many of fourth. Many of us thought that she would be a chance, but not to be Ash Riddle, and no one would begrudge her. She had a great season. So congratulations to them. And I'll add Zippy Fish as well, WA product, year one for Sydney and absolutely blitz. So well done to those four.
Fantastic when you look. So Ella Roberts, if we start with her, because as we said, we've talked her up all season. And as young as she is, she's been an All-Australian multiple times now. So she's a star.
Tough and good.
Yeah, just does everything right. And we talk about Murphy Reid not settling for being good after one season. She hasn't settled for being really, really good and going, oh, yeah, I can just coast around and do as I want. She's becoming better and better and better every single year and richly deserves her All-Australian position and ranked so highly in the BNF when the team didn't win as many games as what North did. You know, she's an absolute gun for the future and great for Mim Strom and Gabby Newton. Newton had a fantastic season. Awesome for her to get picked for the first time. And Strom just keeps on fighting as a ruckman and revolutionising the game and showing what she can be for this team. So fantastic effort for all of them. They've all earned those spots and have done really well.
North Melbourne v Brisbane. This is the third year in a row. So North Melbourne, 26 wins in a row. In fact, their last loss was to Brisbane in the 2023 Grand Final. The pressure is on North. Now, I've spoken in recent weeks about how just give it to them. Just give them the cup. But then last week they played Melbourne in a preliminary final and they were trailed at every change, bar the final siren. So Melbourne ran them really, really close. So they are gettable. I just wonder if they're just feeling the heat a little bit, Cod, if they're feeling like the pressure is so much on us, we just have to win.
Of course they would be. Absolutely they would be. So I remember when they were over here earlier in the year and beat Freo by 100 points.
They looked sensational.
Looked amazing. Day. And in the post-match presser, we asked them, how is it that this team is able to just still raise the bar all the time? When you've achieved so much. The response was, we haven't achieved anything. We've won one flag. Like as good as everyone says we've been, and we're winning all these home and away games, we've only won one premiership, so we have to continue to get better. So they know they've only won one. They've only won one of the flags they want. They've lost one. They will not want to lose two. And if they lose this weekend, everything they've done for the whole season counts for nothing. And they know that. And Brisbane know that. So Brisbane will be going out going, geez, you wouldn't want to lose this, would you? You're $1.11 favourites. We're the rank outsiders. Oh, we'll just have a crack and see how we go. You guys, if you lose, everyone's going to say you choked. It's a tough position to be in. And we see it in suburban and country footy all the time. The team that goes through the year undefeated is under the most pressure on grand final and often fall apart.
And look, North Melbourne, as we know, stars everywhere. Riddell, we just mentioned Jasmine Garner, Emma Kearney. But then Brisbane, 35-point win over Carlton, who were going okay. Now, it was up in Brisbane, but they were going okay. So that's a pretty comprehensive win. Ruby Svark just steps up, kicks 4 goals, right, as a small forward. So they've got confidence and they got a bit of form. However, this game is in Melbourne. And look, I'm still going to lean to the Kangaroos. Part of me just wants them to get the job finished.
Yeah, and Brisbane have a bit of a problem that sits on their shoulder as well, which is their grand final record. They've won 2 premierships, but they've got 4 runners-up. So they've been there plenty of times, and a lot of these players have been there themselves, and they would be going, we don't want to lose 5. Don't want to lose 5 grand finals. And they will go in believing that they're good enough to win it, but having this little worry. We saw with Collie Wobbles, didn't we?
And the most recently vanquished in a grand final by the Kangaroos as well.
And lost to them by 29 points in round 5. So both teams have got the little nagging doubt in the back of their minds, what if? Brisbane will need to Craig Starcy, which is the coach, needs to get out there and sell a story for them this week. The old, if it bleeds, they can kill it, like Lee Matthews did from Brisbane against Essendon back in 2001, and little things like that where just get in their heads.
The shark.
Yeah, great stories.
Rejuvenate the Clarkson shark on the whiteboard and say, stop him. Just stop them moving.
You just have to.
Because that's what you have to do against North. Because they just move, and they move in numbers. They move in waves. You've got to stop them.
You've got to smash someone.
Yeah.
You've got to hurt someone really, really early and just make a stand that if you're going to go and get the ball today, you're going to know you're going to be hurt at the end of it. And
congratulations to Gabby Simmons too from WA. She'll be umpiring her 2nd consecutive AFLW Grand Final.
Yeah, fantastic. Stoked for Gab. Coached Gab back in 2016. She hadn't umpired AFLW at that point, but you could tell she had talent. You could tell that she had an ability to read the game really well. She had to work on her running. She had to work on her body. She had a lot of hamstring issues. Tore her hamstring multiple times that year. I was devastated for her when she did the last one. But you could see she had something. And ever since she's been in this AFLW system, she has worked harder and harder and harder and is one of the elite AFLW umpires in the country now. Fantastic effort for her. Travels a lot on the road constantly. Richly deserved. Really happy for her.
Cod, thanks for your time, and thank you, listeners. And remember, you can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube Music, and the West Sports Show. We'll be back next week. Don't fret, Eagles fans. We will be wrapping up West Coast first week of training and their newcomers.